am very pleased to be able to introduce you to Freddie Bitsoie, who is a member of the Navajo Nation. He has studied both food and anthropology for over a decade. He has a passion for both, which you will hear. After attending University of New Mexico, where he studied both anthropology and art history, he then attended culinary school, Scottsdale Culinary Institute. That is a mouthful. And from there, he has worked professionally in the culinary industry and continues to do that. Freddie says that throughout his studies, the term Native American cuisine seemed to lack essence, and he is passionate about sharing his knowledge of indigenous foods from the Americas. So much of the boarding school experiences continue to contribute to many of the problems confronting American Indians today. So I am pleased to introduce to you all Freddie Bitsoie, who will continue on in this vein.
It's 11:54, so good morning still. My name is Freddie Bitsoie, and as Barbara was saying, it really doesn't seem like it's been 10 years, but I suppose when you tremendously love what it is that a person does, time will just completely fly by. Because of that, one of my instructors came up to me and said, you know, you're real interested in food. You should think about becoming a food anthropologist. And like in all school settings, university settings, each department, puts down the other department. And what he told me, he goes, you don't want to do food history. And I said, why not? He goes, because food historians, by the way, his name is Dr. David Stewart. He wrote a book called Anasazi America, which is very popular with ancient Puebloan cultures. And he referred me to why there should be more food anthropologists. And he said, food historians say that cultures stumbled over something. For example, the Mesopotamians, when we think about wine, it really is a science to ferment. It really is a science to get balanced to sugars and everything to come up with the best tasting wine. And also, when a lot of epidemics in history, when water becomes tainted or bad, people tend to drink more alcohol because it's not as poisonous. So he started telling me that anthropologists give intelligence to history, to people. And so, that was one thing that I really thought was cool, and it gave me a really, lit a fire under my belly, like, ooh, I'm going to give intelligence to history. So with that, I was also an art history minor, and if anybody ever wonders how I can argue French neoclassicism art from 1750 to 1820 with Native American cuisine, please, I need some ideas here. But what I'm trying to get at is what my presentation is going to be all about, and that is how food, especially with Native American cuisine, Native American cuisine is one thing that, at this day and age, kind of felt like an enormous meteor shower. It's kind of like one day you see Kai and Chandler open up, and we wonder why you can walk out of there with a $600 bill, and yet you go to the state fair or you go to the reservations and you see shacks with little fry bread stands. And yet, there's nowhere in this country that you find any middle part. You will not find a Native American menu at Chili's or Applebee's, or even a Native American fast food restaurant. But these are the questions that I really started getting down to when I started thinking about food and talking about food. So, what I'm going to try to convey to you is when you do your tours here at the Herd, you come across pottery, you come across baskets. And when you use pottery and baskets in your daily life, at home, go to Pier 1, World Market, whatever, the stores that sell baskets, we generally associate them with food. now, when we dig up potteries and we dig up baskets, we really don't associate them with food and actually being used as products that in everyday life. We take for granted the cups that we use, we take for granted the plates that we use, and yet, even though it took a lot of time and effort to make these particular pots and baskets, in my personal opinion, and I think to the archaeological record, it really has no importance to these cultures in prehistory times because it was a part of their culture. And that's kind of the big idea about what I'm going to really stress about this particular presentation about is food and culture. So when we think about America, we kind of just generally think of the United States of America. And yet when we think about Native American food, and especially Native American food, we need to think about America as a whole, North and South. Because